Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast, and this will be part two of my Week 12 preview. So let's cracking straight into it with the Sunday early slot. Pittsburgh Steelers at Chicago Bears. Now these are the two leaders of the Northern Divisions meet here, both protecting narrow leads in their respective divisions. Whoever wins will retain a top spot in their division. The loser could well see them drop out of a postseason spot altogether. So there's a lot riding on this for both teams. The Steelers' pass offense and defense operate on a similar basis of being red zone efficiency in scoring and not allowing scores via the passing game. They have been slightly more susceptible, I should say, against the run, whilst being ranked 27th for run offense themselves. Now, Aaron Rodgers has been key in their red zone pass efficiency, but with him not playing tonight, Mason Rudolph gets the start. So that's got to be a key concern in this game for the Steelers. For the Bears, who have the fourth ranked rush offense in the league, they have to make the most of that strength to beat the Steelers here. Whilst their pass rush would love to get a hit or two um, on Mason Rudolph and maybe give them a chance to add to their league 13 interceptions, 13 of which have come from, most of which have come from Kevin Byard, Tremaine Edmonds, and Nahshon Wright. So this could come down to whether the Bears can get in the end zone on the ground and whether they can generate picks. Excuse me. With Mason Rudolph starting in Rogers' place, then the Bears could well get the picks they need to win this one. I'm going to take the Bears to pull off another narrow victory here by 27-24 and put a real dent in the Steelers' postseason hopes. Right, New England Patriots at Cincinnati Bengals. The Patriots come into week two probably just one win away from a postseason spot, and they get a chance to get it against the Bengals team whose season may well have ended been ended by their loss to the Steelers in week 11. Ranking wise, the only area the Bengals have the edge on the Patriots is on pass offense. But with Chase suspended for this game and no Joe Burrow still, Joe Flacco will have to use other means to find an advantage there, and that indeed that advantage may have disappeared. The Bengals have been particularly troubled by opposing tight ends and receiving running backs, so Hunter Henry and Tre'Veyon Henderson to assist Drake May to another big game as the Patriots ease to another win here. I'm taking the Patriots to win by 31 points to 20. On to the New York Giants at the Detroit Lions. The Giants' chances of making the postseason ended several weeks ago. The Lions all of a sudden find their postseason participation in doubt, as they have fallen out of the NFC postseason spots after losing to the Eagles in Week 11. This is pretty much a must-have win for the Lions, but can they get it? The Giants' offensive strength has been their run game, but that has been the Lions' strength defensively. Defensively, the Giants' pass rush has been required to be excellent as their secondary has been depleted and allowed opposing wide receivers to dominate against them. Now, the Lions have injury issues on their O line this week, so that Giants' pass rush really does have to get to Goff, otherwise, he's going to pick them apart. The Lions' passing game should have joy getting in them into the red zone, while the Lions' balanced offense is likely to be able to score touchdowns via the run or the pass. In truth, I just cannot see the Giants, who are still without Jackson Dart and have been without the services of Cam Scatterbo and Malik Neighbours for several weeks, having anywhere near the same joy. So look for Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jameson Williamson all to have good games as the Lions run away with this one. And again, I'm repeating the score from the previous game. The Lions 31, Giants 20. Minnesota at Green Bay. The Vikings find themselves in a similar predicament in the NFC as the Bengals face in the AFC. Their narrow loss to the Bears in Week 11 has all but ended their postseason hopes, and a loss here would certainly end those chances. The Packers are in the midst of a three-way tussle for the NFC North, so need a win here to improve both their divisional title hopes and to ensure they remain in a wildcard spot after Week 12. Now the Packers are ranked 12th for their balanced offense and top 10 for both pass and run defense, telling us they have no obvious weaknesses, but also that they're not really elite in any areas. Like I'm not talking top five in any area. They're better than average in every area, but not great. The Vikings are outside the top 20 teams for pass and run offense, though, and for run defense, but are top 10 against the pass, which when you consider they have Jordan Jefferson and Jordan Addison is a bit of an indictment of the level of quarterback play they've had this season. It would seem from these rankings, the Packers' best route to win here might be via their ground attack, whilst their pass rush could enjoy themselves against the Vikings O-line that has allowed their quarterback to be sacked 34 times in 10 games. Now, I'm just going to have a quick look on the Josh Jacobs situation to see whether he's lining up today. Bear with me just 1 second. Still no real definitive news on that. So, that could be key, but the Packers are going to look to run the ball anyway. If he plays, he could be the one to lead the Packers offense whilst Micah Parsons and Rashad Gary do their thing on defense. And that should be enough for the Packers to get the win here. So I'll take the Packers to win it narrowly though, 24-20. Now then, the Seattle Seahawks at the Tennessee Titans. After a tough loss to the Rams last week, the Seattle face the Titans, who are the worst team in the league, then it presents them with a good opportunity to get back on track and get one of the 3 wins they probably need to ensure postseason football. The Seattle offense is just about top 10 for pass and run, and they could have a big game on both fronts against the Titans team that has allowed the second most touchdowns to opposing running backs this season and is 7th best for wide receivers to face too. And with the Titans having the worst offense in the league, the Seahawks D that has played so well this season could have very little to worry about here too. So Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, who sounds like he's going to play, and Zach Charbonnet and the Seahawks defense look really good fantasy picks this week as the Seahawks win this with ease. And a slightly different score this time. Seahawks still get 31, but the Titans only get 16 as the Seahawks win it easily. Now, one of the big games of the week, if not the biggest, Indianapolis Colts at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Colts come off their bye week looking for another huge win to further that claim for top seeding in the AFC. The Chiefs lost to the Broncos last week, has all but ended their chances of retaining the AFC East title and left them playing catch up in the wildcard race. So a win here would help them in that regard, but another loss would put their postseason participation in serious doubt indeed. Now, quick coffee. Said of the Chiefs last season that they maxed out what they were capable of and had lady luck on their side in a lot of close games. They may be doing the same this season in terms of maxing out their performance, but are interestingly at 0-5 in one-score games this season as Lady Luck has decided to bring balance to the force. They are certainly better than their record indicates this season as they rank 7th in the league for pass offense and defense, 11th for run offense and 14th for run defense. So they're better than average in every regard and they're actually pretty good, unsurprisingly, on offense. The Colts have been a revelation this season, ranking 2nd for rush offense with the incredible Jonathan Taylor. 2nd for run defense, 12th for pass offense, but just 20th against the pass. Tickling the throat, excuse me. The Chiefs' 7th-ranked pass offense looks to be their best attribute in this game then against that Colts pass defense, whereas the Colts may need to once again load up Jonathan Taylor and let him carry them to another win here. But the Chiefs have allowed just 6 touchdowns to opposing running backs this season, 5 on the ground and 1 via the pass, so they will certainly hope to keep Taylor out of the end zone here. Taylor Warren may find life tough against the Chiefs too, as they have allowed just 2 touchdowns to opposing tight ends this season. And more good news for the Chiefs is that the Colts have been far from great against opposing tight ends, so the old Mahomes-Kelsey double act could serve them well here. I see the Chiefs being able to score touchdowns in this game. The question is, can their bend but don't break defense get the job done against the Colts and Taylor in particular? And with their backs pretty much to the wall, I think they will finally win a close game. I'm going to take the Chiefs by 24-20. The New York Jets at Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are presented with a great chance to get a 5th consecutive win to take them above 500 for the season and keep up the pressure on the Steelers in the AFC North as they host the 2-win Tyrod Taylor-led Jets here. This is certainly one they cannot afford to lose. In a repeat pattern from last season, the Ravens defense has got itself together after a poor start to the season. In their last 5 games, they've given up an average of just 14.8 points a game, with a high of 19 in those games. And with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, they have averaged over 30 points a game this season, 26 a game since he came back from injury, which is a slight dip, as he's not really found his true form yet. But against the Jets team that has averaged just 20.9 points a game this season, they're going to struggle to score 20 against this Ravens defense. This all adds up to an easy Ravens win, which is what I expect to happen. So I've got the Ravens by 27-16. Move on to the late slot games. Cleveland Browns at Las Vegas Raiders. This is one of 2 games this week between teams who will not be playing beyond week 18 this season. The Browns have no offense but a good defense with an exceptional player in Myles Garrett being the biggest difference maker by far on their team. And he would be a serious MVP candidate on a team that was merely average. That's how good he is. And defensive players don't win MVP, but he really does deserve a huge amount of credit for his efforts this season. Garrett has 15 of the Browns' 32 sacks this season and should certainly add to those numbers against the Raiders O-line that has allowed Geno Smith to be sacked 31 times this season. Their run defense is also close to being top 10 in the league. So can they keep Ashton Gionte as quiet as he was kept last week is another question here. That really puts into focus how bad the Raiders O-line is. They can't protect the quarterback and they can't get the running back going. It's just bad for them all round in that area. The Raiders are not good in any area, mind you, but are average against the pass, and that should be good enough against this insipid Browns offense. Or will it be? So how will either team score in this game? Turnovers could well be the Browns' best route, and with Shedar Sanders at quarterback, their wide receivers may do better, but you could also throw in literally the odd pick or three, whilst passes to Brock Bowers could be the best way for the Raiders as it scores. But I flipped and flopped on this one in all honesty, but I'm gonna flop back on the Browns side to ground out a win by 20 points to 17. But Myles Garrett will be the star of the show, not Shedeur Sanders. Right, Jacksonville Jaguars at Arizona Cardinals. The Jags pulled off an impressive win over the Chargers in Week 11 to keep them in a wild card position in the AFC, and look to back that win up on the road against the Cardinals team who need to win every remaining game to have any hope of making the postseason. The Cardinals have relied on their passing game more than they would like to have had this season, but having been snake bitten injury wise at running back with James Conner and Trey Benson missing most of the season. Defensively, they're okay against the run, but far from great against the pass. The Jags are really good against the run, have a ball hawking secondary that does give up plenty, though, if they don't get picks. An offense running the ball is their strength. That's their strength. Their offensive strength is running the ball, which should mean the Cardinals will get yardage and touchdowns through the air, but need to avoid the interceptions. For the Jags, they should be able to run the ball and get some joy via the passing game too. And with the Jags being the second best team for opposing tight ends to face, Trey McBride could be in for a big game here. And with Marvin Harrison still out, Michael Wilson could have another strong game too. Whilst Travis Etienne and Basil Tootin could be the ones to watch for the Jags fantasy-wise. Jacoby Brissett has avoided throwing picks until 2 against the 49ers last week as he pressed to keep the Cardinals in the game. But this will be close. But the Cardinals have conceded 2 rushing touchdowns in 4 of their last 5 games, and that is how the Jags edge home here, and I mean edge. I've got it as Arizona 23, Jacksonville 24. Atlanta Falcons at New Orleans Saints. This is probably the second game with little or nothing riding on it. The Saints and Tyler Shugg look for a second win in a row against Falcons team and now trail the Bucks by 3 games in the NFC South. And winning their division looks like their only possible way of making the postseason. For that to happen, they need the Bucks and Panthers to back up to them and makes this a must-have if they are to have any chance of catching those teams. The Saints have no particular areas of being even average, and even in their win over the Panthers mustered just 175 yards on offense, but they did manage to limit the Panthers' offense in that one as the D stood strong. The Falcons have given up plenty of yardage to the pass and run, particularly the run, but have not generally given up touchdowns as they bend but don't break. On offense, they have had decent They've been decent in the passing game and better on the ground, but have struggled in the red zone. Having said that, since they switched to Tyler Algier running the ball rather than Bijan Robinson in the red zone and certainly on the goal line, that's helped them become more red zone efficient in that area. But without Drake London, the Falcons will have to rely on their running backs to get in the end zone even more here. And whether they can or not will be decisive in this game. Algier has 6 touchdowns in his last 7 games, and I'm taking him to keep up that good sequence as the Falcons win this one. And if the Saints do struggle in the red zone, Blake Grupe could be a decent fantasy kicker this week. But I'll take the Falcons to win it 24-19. On to the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. This is a biggie. The Eagles defense is firing the team in recent weeks, and they look on course for a high seeding in the NFC and can pretty much wrap up the NFC East by beating the Cowboys here. Dallas probably needs 6 wins from their last 7 games to make this postseason, and there's certainly one they would love to have. The Cowboys gave up 30 or more points in 5 of their first 8 games, but since they got some players back from injury and made some trade deadline moves, they've given up an average of just 21.5 in the last 2 games. So not brilliant, but a lot better than it was. Offensively, they continue to look really good, though, only failing to reach 24 points in 3 of their 10 games this season. In terms of defense, a similar but even more dramatic version is true of the Eagles. Their D has been truly outstanding in its last 2 games, conceding just 16 points in those 2 games against good teams. So the Cowboys' offense versus this defense is going to be a great watch. And the Eagles might need to win that battle convincingly, as the Eagles' spluttering offense has only topped 20 points twice in its last 6 games. The Eagles shut down the Lions' offense last week, but I have to say, I can see the Cowboys' offense doing enough to outscore their Eagles counterparts. And in what might be a surprise to some, I'm taking the Cowboys to win this 23-17. Sunday night football is Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams took control of the NFC West by beating Seattle in Week 11. The Bucs' control of the NFC South is weakening by the week as they struggle to deal with injuries and a tough section of their schedule. So the Rams need to push on in their quest for a divisional title and possibly top seeding in the AFC. The Bucs needed to win to ensure they remain top of their division. The Rams possess the third-ranked pass offense in the league, a decent run offense, and also have a strong all-round defense. So they're well equipped to cope with any team they face. The Bucs badly need the likes of running back Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin at wide receiver back if they are to challenge, and particularly challenge the Rams here. Now they're going to get Godwin back, but not Irving. Without Irving, they could well struggle to compete both with the Rams defense and keep pace with the Rams offense too. The Bucs have conceded 7 rushing touchdowns in their last 4 games and must find a way to keep Kyren Williams out of the end zone. Sorry, I should say here. The Bucs have also conceded more yards to receiving backs than any other team this season, so that could be another route Williams could thrive in. Whereas the Rams are really tough on opposing running backs, so Sean Tucker and Rashad White may find it tough getting anything going today. The Rams just look like the better team in pretty much every area right now than the Bucs, so I can really only see one winning team winning this, and that's the Rams. So I'm going to take the Rams to win this by 27-20. And I'll squeeze in Monday Night Football in this preview. Carolina Panthers at the San Francisco 49ers. Playing last gives these 2 teams the opportunities to know what the implications of a win or loss here would mean for them. The Panthers could have a shot at the NFC South lead if the Bucs have lost to the Rams. The 49ers will know if the Rams and Seahawks have won or not, but this game will certainly have wildcard implications for both teams. Christian McCaffrey continues to carry a heavy workload for the 49ers offense, but the return of Brock Purdy at quarterback lessened their reliance on CMC last week. Defensively, they have been stout against the run, but ranked 27th against the pass. The Panthers have lent on a solid defense and a strong running game, but Bryce Young and the passing game caught fire last week against the Falcons and may fancy their chances again this week against the 49ers pass defense. Given the evidence of this season, Bryce Young and Tetairoa McMillan will need to play well for the Panthers to win here. Unsurprisingly, McCaffrey and George Kittle are the most likely offensive weapons for the 49ers against the Panthers. Outside of his mammoth game last week, though, Bryce Young has just one other game of over 200 passing yards this season. So whilst he may have another better game here, I'm not sure it will be enough to get the win. So I'm going to take the 49ers to win a close game here by 24 points to 20. And in 20 minutes, that wraps up my Week 12 preview. Let's see how I do and who wins and who doesn't. See you soon.